All right, guys, welcome back to the Lay Down podcast. I'm your host, Ultra, of course, joined by my co host, Lenny B, as always, and pretty big day of the NBA news.
hmm
A certain Kevin Wayne Durant will be traded. We don't know where, but he is asked out for a trade, and Brooklyn is currently shopping him. This just a day after Kyrie Irving opted in. Was it a day or 2 days after Kyrie
Uh,
Irving
it
opted
was
in
yesterday.
to
Yesterday he
his
opted.
1 year deal? And is it can we call Kyrie Irving TO Team Obliterator because he's
Uh,
essentially broken an NBA franchise?
it's hard not to put that label on him at this point. It's just he's had so many opportunities at this point, and it's just like I, I, it's just I don't know. I don't know what it is with this guy. Like there's a bunch of stuff you can look at, obviously, but it's similar to it is. I would say it's similar to To. I don't think To or Kyrie have these bad intentions of doing these things, but it's just something that they bring to the table that is just does not work for a franchise. It just doesn't work.
So you've gotta think about it as this. In 2019, actually it was June 30th, 2019, that Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving joined the Brooklyn Nets. That was exactly 3 years ago to the day where you are currently, and
Man,
just 5 minutes ago to the day from where I'm from.
that's crazy,
Three
man.
years ago to the day, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving signed. Could the last 3 years of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving have gone any worse? Like realistically, any
I
worse?
mean, the only other things I could say would be worse is like freak injuries or something like that. Like they didn't even get the chance to do it. No, actually, I think this is worse because they were given the opportunity and they had every shot to make this work, like healthy. You know what I mean? Like they had the opportunity to play and they just did not work out. It just, I mean, after even the Harden move, I mean, like, man, I can't see any reality where this gets any worse. To be honest, I think you're right on that.
So over the last 3 years, the Brooklyn Nets with Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and for a decent amount of time James Harden have the 13th highest win percentage in the NBA over the last 3 years.
Dang.
Um, that's bad.
That's
That's
really
that's
bad.
really bad.
Yeah.
Since 2020, let me look at this
They
real
haven't even
quick.
won a playoff game, man. I
They won a
mean,
playoff game, but since 2020,
oh, they did. No, you're right.
the Bucks, Celtics, Heat, Suns, Lakers, Clippers, Warriors, Nuggets, Mavericks, Sixers, Hawks, Jazz, and Raptors all have more playoff wins than
Oh,
the Brooklyn Nets.
oh, that's bad. That's a long list, man.
The
That's a
Boston
long.
Celtics have gotten to two conference finals and the NBA finals since Kyrie left. The Golden State Warriors have won an NBA championship since Kevin Durant left.
Oh, oh my God, man. I mean, OKC hasn't done anything, but whatever. That's wild, man. That's
That's embarrassing, Lenny.
it is embarrassing, man. They had this whole plan like they were gonna do it like LeBron and the Heat, and they just ended up being like so disappointing on
Now, to
like
be
so many levels.
fair, have there been injuries? Yes. But they've still been on the court, or Kevin Durant's been on the court for both the Bucks and Celtics losses.
Yeah,
Kyrie Irving was on the court for the Celtics sweep. And honestly, the last 10 weeks for the Brooklyn Nets franchise has been just disastrous. So let me give you the timeline real quick. They get swept by Boston. Kyrie and Durant both mightily underperform worst
yeah,
series of their careers. Kyrie then does this whole thing about how he's not accepting his deal, this whole drama that
yeah.
manifests through the rest of the season into the offseason. Kyrie opts into his deal finally, and now Durant wants out. And Kyrie's in trade rumors too. This is And look, I've been critical of Kevin Durant in the past, and I think fairly. I don't think I'm hating, but it's not. I don't think this is his fault nearly as much as it's Kyrie Irving's fault here. I think this all stems from Kyrie Irving not getting vaccinated, which is a stupid decision for multiple reasons. And that resulted in Harden getting traded. That resulted in Ben Simmons coming, which is a whole other funny aspect to this. What's Ben Simmons going to do
That
now?
was such an unexpected level of just like funny, man. Like coming from someone who loves the funny stuff in sports. I mean, that was just a whole nother layer.
Uh, Kyrie Irving's responsible for them not playing together last year. And Kyrie Irving's now going to be responsible for Kevin Durant leaving.
Two
Really?
superstars leaving, man. Yeah, I mean, like the vaccination stuff. We're not going to make that political. If we're gonna talk about it, we'll talk about it like factually, whatever the effects of it would be. But
Take the
Kyrie,
political, just real quick, take the political stuff out of it for a second because that's
exactly,
whatever. But
exactly.
for the team, it was bad because they weren't on the court together.
Yeah, they developed no chemistry whatsoever. I mean, James Harden got unhappy. Now Kevin Durant's unhappy. Kyrie Irving has just been consistently like a locker room distraction. And as much as talent is important in any sport, especially the NBA and superstars, personally, look at Golden State, man. You got another point guard right there, one of the like all-time greatest like just leaders and locker room guys, and see what they did with less talent than the arguably less talent when in the big three. I think with the big three, they arguably had less talent than the Warriors right now. And all it was is just the leadership and the coaching, man. And for Kyrie Irving just to be such a detractor from the team, it's just really, yeah. I mean, you can't say enough about what Kyrie's done for this
I said
franchise.
a few podcasts ago, Durant left the 10 out of 10 girl that had a great personality for the 8.5 to 9 out of 10 girl with a really bad personality. And I stand by it. Like, that's what Steph Curry and Kyrie Irving are right now, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Um, now, is there any silver line? I don't think there's. Is there a silver lining here for Brooklyn?
I
I
think
guess
the
Ben
silver lining is that your roster, as long as Kyrie stays, isn't bad. Like isn't bad. I would say it's still okay. As like if you're gonna just assume that things get better, Ben Simmons, if he just starts, is obviously a good defensive player. Like I think he's getting a little bit too much hate generally for how good he plays. I'm just gonna say period how good
he's
he
still a
plays
good
because we're not
player.
exactly. People don't treat him like that. You guys still have Seth Curry. I mean, there's still Andre Drummond. I think there's not like a lack of talent in terms of just being an all-time bad team, but you're definitely not in the same position you were before. Like not far from it. Also, you get draft capital from Kevin Durant, possibly another player. You're not in the worst position possible, but you're far from the best right now. I think that's the silver lining. There's
But
still
do
some
you not think
aspects.
there's a possibility here that Kyrie goes to?
I think after he picked up his max, I think depending on how the Durant
He
trade
didn't
goes.
pick up his max. He opted into the last year of
Oh
his
no,
deal.
you're right. Yeah, you're right. That's what happened.
So he's an expiring contract right now.
I think it depends on how the Durant trade goes. If they get a player, I think he considers stays and he plays the whole year, right? And he just sees what happens. And if they get picks, I'm sure he leaves.
Now I've seen some stuff, some reports about how Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving still like each other, still are friends, still want to play together, but it just can't. It just can't be in Brooklyn, which is the stupidest thing I've heard. Like, like,
Oh,
like. Okay, so this would basically be like if me and you were still happy, still friends, still had a good relationship, but we just didn't want to do the podcast on here. We wanted to do it on, say,
yeah.
Mitch's channel.
No, we have to do it on
That's how
Twitch.
dumb this sounds,
Yeah, we gotta
essentially.
go. We gotta do it on Twitch. We can't do it on YouTube
Yeah,
anymore.
that's how dumb this sounds.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean,
how would that even work, though? Like, how can you even trade for Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving?
logistically, it really makes no sense. You'd have to wait a year for him to go on free agency, and you'd have to take a super cheap deal, which I feel like we both know probably. Like
I don't
minor
see it
change is
happening.
not gonna happen.
No.
Uh, I'm sure at this point it's like saving face. Like I'm gonna be nice about it to Durant, and I'm gonna be nice to Kyrie. We're gonna save our relationship, but there's no way this happens.
Like
There's no way they get back. There's
I've
just no
seen
way.
the Lakers linked with it, which of course the Lakers, because they have LeBron, especially, are going to link to all of this here. All the pieces here are going to get linked to the Lakers, which I'm totally here for and totally want to see. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, let's get into some potential Durant landing spots here. So I'm going to float a couple of things out at you here.
Okay.
Now, let's make sure here this sounds realistic enough because I don't want a team to seem like they're getting Ocean's 11 style heisted here in any way, shape, or form.
All
There's a
right.
good Ocean 11 reference for you there.
That was
But
funny.
um, let's start with the Phoenix Suns, who have been the most rumored
Mm,
team of the bunch so far. I think you're likely looking at uh, Bridges, maybe Aiton, and then probably Cam Johnson and probably a couple more first round picks
yes,
for
it's gonna take
Durant.
a
So
lot.
you got to gauge Durant's value here. Kevin Durant is 34. He's going to turn 34 years old by season start. He is still, you know, injuries, age, and poor last memory notwithstanding, at worst, one of the six best basketball players in the league.
Yeah,
And
I
he's
think
one of the 13 greatest players ever.
we both
So
agree on that.
it's very rare you get the opportunity to get a Kevin Durant level player on your franchise ever. Period. The Hawks have never, for example, had a Kevin Durant level player on their franchise. Never.
Nope.
So Durant, what do you think? I think his value is as high right now. I mean, I don't know if it'll necessarily top the Anthony Davis trade, but his value is one of the highest we've seen of a player that's going to get traded in NBA history. So do you think Bridges, Aiton, Johnson, and picks would get that deal?
I think it would. I think the Nets are looking for really anything right now. Not in terms of like they're gonna settle for like a first round pick because that's stupid. Of course not. There's player they're gonna ask for a lot, but they're not gonna overstay their welcome on this. I think that would be. I mean, look at it logistically from the Sun side. Aiton, you're not looking to pay him for whatever reason,
Sarver's
and
cheap.
you're willing to move backups and rotational guys and some picks long term future for a championship right now. I think Chris Paul is like, if we're talking about that girl metaphor, he's like a 7 out of 10 with a okay personality. He's better than Kyrie in terms like way better in personality that way. I think the Suns' biggest problem is they just don't have that guy who shows up clutch, man. They don't have that clutch man in the fourth quarter. Like Devin Booker's been that slightly. I don't think he's been enough of that in the playoffs for them to get over the hump. But Kevin Durant would be the perfect fit for that specific thing. I'm looking at the rotations now. They're not looking as deep as they would before if we're going with this exact trade. And obviously at center they'd be a little dry, but I don't know. I like the fit. I think it would make them. I'd like to see the Hail Mary pass though. Like man, I mean the Suns haven't had a good team in so long since 7 second offense, and it's like
You
why not, man? Why not
They've
just
been really good the last. What are you talking? They
no,
just made the
I
finals.
mean like before that, like before like this
Oh
is
yeah,
the
yeah.
in this
It was
period.
Nash Amari era.
Exactly.
It was the last time.
Exactly. This is the first time in a long time that they've been really good, and it would be a disappointment if they didn't try to cash out to get that ring, man. Especially for Chris Paul's legacy and Devin Booker going into the future. I think it would. I would like it. I would like the move a lot.
So would you? No, the next one I'm going to look at is Denver.
Oh,
Would you potentially throw in Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. for Kevin Durant, and probably maybe you would need picks as well there, but
hmm.
um,
That's a
Jokic and
hard.
Durant, that's a contender.
You're definitely a contender, but hmm, it's
I
hard
would
to
do that.
say.
I would
I
go all
would.
in.
I would like. It's hard just because even though I do think you have a really good shot at that point. I mean, like that's a lethal dude. You have two top six players, one who was just an MVP, two-time MVP, and then Kevin Durant, the best scorer in the NBA. Like that would be lethal, man. But it's just hard considering that just I don't know if they would get over to like I don't know if it would bring them over the hump, if you know what I mean. I don't know if they'd be contenders like in terms of I know they're gonna win the finals. They'd be like in the mix. I think they probably get to like conference championship. But I
But
yeah, I
that's what you're once you get to that
no, you're
point,
right.
it's essentially 50-50 chances from there on out. And with Jokic and Durant, you're probably going to have in most series the two best players on the court, at least two of the three. So I would do that. I would do if I'm Denver, I'd do whatever it takes to get him, other than
No,
trade
you're
Jokic,
yeah,
obviously.
I
But
would do that.
uh, yeah, I mean, I'd go all because you've got what I think is one of the best players in the NBA in his absolute peak, who just won back-to-back MVPs. And I think Denver is the contender without him, but I think they're a much stronger contender with him. The next team would be the Miami Heat. That's another one of his suggested teams.
Build
So
another super team.
it'd be Lowry, Robinson, and Harrow, most likely. They don't
Yeah,
have a ton of picks. Um,
they could throw in something though.
they could throw in Nikola Jovic, who they just drafted.
Jovic, man, that's hilarious.
Um, I wanted to see Jovic and Jokic on the same team, but they could do that, and that'd be interesting. I would. Would you do that if you're Brooklyn?
If I'm Brooklyn, I think that's a little low on the low side, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Uh, I mean, if you're Miami, yes, slam dunk. I mean, like Kyle Lowry's been good for you guys, especially, but I mean, you saw in the playoffs this year, you need an outside option other than Jimmy Butler, scoring wise. Tyler Hero wasn't that guy. Kyle Lowry wasn't that guy. And man, to get that compliment to Jimmy Butler, that would be the most lethal, one of the most lethal scoring duos in the NBA, man. I mean, like Jimmy Butler from mid range, Kevin Durant outside anywhere. I mean, I would totally do it if you're Miami. I just don't know if Brooklyn's going to buy that. It just seems a little low considering what other teams are probably willing to offer. But I mean, if Miami convinced them somehow, I mean, I would.
And then
Hell
the
yeah, I'd
last
take the trade.
realistic team here, I think, would be the Mavericks,
The
who
Mavs.
have they can throw in any kind of combination of Dinwiddie, Hardaway, Bertans, Dwight Powell, and maybe even a Brunson sign and trade. Um,
Oh,
so, and then they also have a couple first round picks. So that's an interesting one because that's another team that's contending. But again, Brooklyn's got to think that's enough.
that's enough. I think compensation, like considering compared to Miami, I think that's a better deal probably that any combination that you get there. I mean, I really think any of these teams would be better in most trade packages with Kevin Durant. I don't think it's really that hard of a question to say that. I guess the only thing I would consider just with all these teams, especially the Mavs, but just generally, is like how long are you trying to win here? Are you winning in like within the next 3 years? With the Mavs, if you're trying to win right now, which I'm sure they are because they just went to conference finals. If I'm the owner, I'm the GM. I'm like, I think it's time to buy in. I think they should do that if the potential combination was like that. So all in all, with all these trade options, I would say yes for every single one of them. I mean, Luka and Kevin Durant, again, another lethal scoring duo. I feel like they have enough depth to get them by. I mean, they just went by. They just went to the conference championship. I can't see them getting worse. I think if they got Kevin Durant, they'd probably be conference championship second round exit somewhere around that area, or even a finals contender.
Man, if they went out in the second round after getting Kevin, here's the thing: the NBA is so balanced right now. There's so much parity. It's not what
I
it
know.
was a few years ago with the Warriors just being so much better than everyone else. I feel like a Jokic Durant duo or a Luka Durant duo that like instantly makes you at least co-favorites with Golden State and Milwaukee right now. At least,
I
if not favorites.
probably. I would assume so. I think I'm a tiny bit more hesitant just because of how Brooklyn went. I think I'm just a little bit. I don't think it's going to be nearly as bad as what happened in Brooklyn. But I think I'm just a tiny bit more hesitant than you are. But I would
All right,
agree they were very good.
let's get into some now just more hype ones. Those are the most realistic teams, I think. But
Yeah,
now let's
I
get into
agree.
some just narrative ones that would be funny. Probably won't happen, but we'll see. And then
We
you
could
never
talk
know.
about it anyway.
First of all, the Memphis Grizzlies. Memphis gets Durant, and
Oh
then
man,
let's
that
see.
ain't gonna
Memphis
happen.
could give Brooklyn, Jaren Jackson, Dylan Brooks, Xavier Tillman, and then a couple unprotected first round picks, plus a top 4 protected pick from Golden State. So that's a lot. That's a good
That is
offer.
a lot.
And now what this would do is it would make Memphis Golden State the best rivalry in the NBA, and there wouldn't be a close
That's
second.
true. That is very
Because
true.
now Grizzlies Warriors is already a little bit of a rivalry because of the play-in last year, because of the playoffs this year. There seems to
Yeah,
be a little bit of bad blood between the players. Clay, after the title, was calling out what was his name, Jaren Jackson.
yeah. Jaren Jackson's good.
John Morant and Steph have been going at it a little bit. Of course, there's the whole Dylan Brooks dirty play. I don't think Draymond's a big fan of Memphis. And then you throw Durant in there. That is some
Ooh,
A plus storytelling right there.
now I want it to happen. I
Yeah.
think that's probably the most flashy offense in the NBA, man. I mean, Kevin Durant and one of the most athletic players of all time. Bets with John Morant, probably the most athletic player in the NBA, man. I mean, like that would just be a
And
fun
Desmond
team to
Bain.
watch. And Desmond Bain, man, that would be a fun team to watch. Like, like even as a Warriors fan, I would be like, I want to watch the Grizzlies. Which I don't know, even though like right now I'd want to watch the Grizzlies just because they have John Morant, but still, that would be a that would be a great rivalry. Now, do I think that that's going to happen? Probably not. I think it's a little far fetched at this point. I don't. That doesn't sound like it probably would happen. But hey, I mean, I think it'll be fun. They're definitely contenders at that point, like serious contenders.
All right, another ones that would be fun, and one I think Brooklyn should heavily consider because I think this team has a ton of assets that are young, and they could potentially get a lot from this team. So the New Orleans Pelicans get Durant,
Oh, what? Oh,
and then the Nets get let's hear
all
this.
right, all right.
Uh, Jonas Valanciunas, Zion, Devontae
Oh,
Graham, Garrett Temple, the Lakers' first round pick from 2024, and Milwaukee's from 2027. Obviously, the big piece is Zion, figuratively and
oh,
literally. Um, Look, Zion is just such a huge because he's a risk, but if he's
oh yeah,
healthy,
he's a risk
you
a little
could
bit.
potentially have the guy to lead your franchise for the next decade. You could have an MVP caliber player.
How willing are the
I'd do
Pelicans
that,
to
man.
do
If
that?
If I'm
I
Brooklyn,
know, but man, to pull the trigger on that,
isn't this fun,
that's a,
Lenny?
this is fun because I don't have any like stake in any of this really.
Yeah, me either.
As a Warriors fan, to hey, if someone approached me with that deal, like Brooklyn's like, we'll do this, and we'll give you Kevin Durant. I wouldn't want to be the guy to pull the trigger. I just would not want to be the guy, like just to get rid of Zion. It just seems it's just.
So
I
you
do
wouldn't
think
do it if you're New Orleans?
no, I wouldn't want to do it as in like I don't want to be the guy known to make that decision. I
Oh,
just
yeah, that's a
like
tough
because that's a
decision.
hard decision to make, man. I do think there's arguments on both sides. I think if he went to play with Kyrie, I, I feel like he would be a very bad influence on Zion. I don't think that would work. For Brooklyn, I don't think. It just sounds like because I don't know if he's been unmotivated. I don't think he's been unmotivated. I think that's a little bit of a narrative thing, but I do think there's still a little bit there. And if he went to
But there's
Brooklyn
still
with Kyrie
so
and all
much
his,
potential.
no, I mean, no, okay. If I'm New Orleans, I'm definitely thinking about it because that's a huge deal. Regardless, you're getting Kevin Durant and you're moving. I don't know, man. I don't know. I really I'm torn on this. I'm gonna be honest. I'm torn. You give your opinion. I can't give you a good. I could give you a good opinion.
Because I know Durant's out of there. I would do it if I'm Brooklyn. I think that's a lot of young talent. I think Zion's a huge piece that if you can get him right, you could. I think Ben Simmons and Zion's a really weird, fun duo.
I didn't even think about that.
Um, you'd still have some marketability because Zion's a big name. And if I'm Durant, look, New Orleans, it's not LA. It's a cool city. I've been there. It's not LA. But, it's not New York. But that's a team that has a lot of young talent that pushed Phoenix further than I think anyone thought last year. And
CJ
if
McCollum,
you win a
Brandon
title in
Graham.
New Orleans, like there's no questions about your legacy ever.
Oh yeah,
So yeah. I actually like that trade for both teams. I don't know if it'll happen. I like it for both sides.
it's just such a big like wild card for me. It's just such a. It's just so. There's so many branches in my. I haven't even like pondered the Zion leaving.
I'll say
Really,
this though. I real quickly, I'm sorry for interrupting,
no,
but
it's fine.
I don't Durant he doesn't strike me as like a LeBron to where he really cares about the city. I think he just cares about basketball at this point.
Yeah, I think I agree. I don't know if he's like title. I don't think he's title chasing, but I think he at least wants to be on a good
I
team,
think he
man.
wants to be on a
He
good.
wants to be on a
I'm
really
saying I
good
think
team.
being on a good team, like some guys are, they want to go to LA or New York or Miami or somewhere like that. I think he's just more about basketball, basketball, basketball.
Yeah, I agree. I think I agree with that take.
The next team would be a perfect example of that, the Toronto Raptors. We saw them do a similar thing here
Toronto.
with Kawhi a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so it'd be Scotty Barnes, who is a young star, OG Anunoby, who was a solid piece to a title team, Gary Trent, who's a solid role player, 2027 first round pick, 2028 first round pick swap, 2029 first round pick. That's a lot.
That is a
Um,
lot.
I think if you're Brooklyn, do you ask for Siakam on top of that? Do you demand Barnes and Siakam?
I think you, if you're talking about trade talks, I think you start off with that. I think like as a trade offer, like that's your starting point. Like, hey, we'll work down from this maybe, but this is where we're starting. I think you need like if you're the Brooklyn, like you need to get as much as possible from Durant. I don't think you really want to get as much as you can at this point. Uh, you don't even know if Kyrie's going to be there next year. You need to make sure you get this. And yeah, I would start with that in trade talks.
All right, last one. This is my favorite one.
All right, let's hear it.
This is for everyone that's played poker. I don't know if you have or not. This is
I have
pushing.
played poker.
This is pushing all of your chips to the middle of the table. This is with all the marbles on the line
Oh, I
here.
think I know which one you're gonna say. Okay.
So the Brooklyn Nets get Anthony Davis, Russell
Oh,
Westbrook,
good. I knew you were.
Austin Reeves, 2027 first round pick, 2029 first round pick, and the Lakers get Kevin
Oh,
Durant and Kyrie Irving.
oh
There,
my
that would be
god,
the hypothetical trade.
that would be the hypothetical trade, and it would probably blow up the NBA. The like Twitter, everyone would go crazy. That would be the most fun
This would be
option, though.
peak me
This would be like Anthony Davis, Ben Simmons on the same team. Oh, love that.
and Westbrook.
And Westbrook.
No, and then you have
Oh man.
Durant, Kyrie, and LeBron.
Do you really think that Brooklyn would want that? I don't.
I have I
I don't think they would want to do that.
but that's the most realistic package. So forget
No, I
Westbrook.
agree.
Westbrook, you can see if he has anything left. Probably not. And if so,
But
he's
you
an
might even
expiring
see.
contract you can get rid of because you're not going to be.
That's
I don't think
fair.
the Nets are going to be good next year, and I think they're kind of accepting that.
They're gonna be like
So forget
average
Westbrook. I
to
don't even think
mid.
Westbrook really matters in this. I'm just going to be completely honest here.
Fair enough. You just throwing in
Anthony,
there just
Anthony
because.
Davis is more. Anthony Davis has regressed, but Anthony Davis still, I believe, when healthy, is capable of being at the very worst like a third team All NBA guy, and one of the 3, 4 best big men in the league.
Yeah, his floor is very high
He's
still.
much
I
more
agree.
valuable than Kyrie Irving is.
No, I agree
Now
for franchise. Yeah.
you need to throw. Now, keep in mind, Durant's in here too, so you've got to. I don't even know if this would be enough because it's Durant
I
and Irving.
know. That's why I'm saying like I don't know if Brooklyn would want to
But
do it just because it's man.
if you're Brooklyn, Anthony Davis, Ben Simmons, that's an interesting front court. And let's see. I mean, I don't think this is very realistic. I think it'd be really funny.
This would be
But
so funny. Oh my
what
god.
are your thoughts on this?
My thoughts on this is for Brooklyn, I would laugh at them and then I'd go and point my finger and then also laugh at the Lakers because I'm like, it's just like you got Kyrie back and it's gonna be another LeBron. I mean, the big three, you're gonna try the big three again. You have no depth at this point. I mean, like, I mean,
Bro, me and you would
I
be the other starters.
for Brooklyn, I'm like, where's the ceiling on this team? I don't think it's very high, really, with Anthony Davis and all of them. I don't. I just. It feels like it would like gridlock them into a point of mediocrity again, as in like maybe first round exit, second round exit kind of team, just like he was on the Pelicans. And I don't. It would be so funny though. Oh my god, it would be so funny.
All right,
But
I'm gonna keep looking through these trade packages here.
where are
So
you
this
finding these trade packages?
we're I'm going through SI, the Ringer, all these places.
All right. Okay.
Um, so the next one, this would be ultimate meme potential because
Okay.
Durant's past would indicate this is gonna happen. The Boston Celtics. So
He just
it'd
does what he
be
did with the Warriors, and he goes to the team that beat him in the playoffs.
it'd be Durant, Jalen Brown, Grant Williams,
Oh
Daniel
my god,
Tice, and as many picks and pick swaps are necessary.
they're gonna throw in like the whole freaking century of picks. Yeah.
Look, if you're the Nets, you get to build around Jalen Brown and Ben Simmons. If you're the Celtics, you get to pair Durant and Tatum to a finals core mostly. I mean, Grant Williams is not irreplaceable. So, look, that's that's another fun one.
That is a fun one. I think the Celtics they'd be at least caliber of what they were last year. They fixed their problem of like we need a dominant scorer in big moments, which we thought Jason Tatum was going to be that guy for them by the end of the year, but clearly we just saw he wasn't that point at least right now in the finals, which is fine. I mean, he's young still. I'm not like tripping about it, but then you start thinking about I don't know. I mean, like future, like you need to win that year or the year next. At that point, you need to win like right now. At that point, I don't know. I would like to move for Celtics because I don't think they're going to win next year, but they have a chance maybe long term. But that I think they give them the best shot to win next year for sure.
All right, that's a stop on the Durant packages for now.
All right, I don't know if they're
But
going to handle another
what
Lakers
do you
one though.
think would be the most interesting place he could go? Like just from a narrative
Realist. Oh,
storytelling
the most
wise.
interesting narrative one is definitely the Grizzlies one you're just talking about. Memphis. I mean, for as a Warriors fan, I'm just like, man, I hate this team so much more now. Like, I already didn't like them. Now I hate this team. I think it would be like the thing everyone's looking like putting on their poster board. Like, I can't wait to see this next year. I think the second one would probably be the Lakers, just because it would be the funniest thing ever.
Dude,
I don't think it would have been like a big. It would be a huge
I
like
swear
narrative
every
thing that people.
single Steph hater would become a Durant or would become a Laker fan. Could you imagine
Yes,
LeBron fans who already hate Steph, Durant fans who now hate Steph, Kyrie fans who already hate Steph? They're
I
all on
think
the same team.
I think if you're like talking about like a storybook, that would be like what you'd want to do.
Yeah.
Maybe like throw in Kawhi or something from the Raptors series. And yeah, I think from a storybook, you're talking about like the final boss for the Warriors. That would definitely, and the Lakers, the big Lakers. I mean, I think the most interesting one from like a playoffs and everything would probably be Memphis, though. Even though Lakers would be freaking hilarious and just
What do you think about
ridiculously off the
Portland?
wall.
I don't know what the
Portland,
package
oh,
would be, but I think that's an interesting place because
Dame
I've
and
seen some
Durant.
links to that.
Yeah, I don't think it's likely, but I think it could happen. I saw that. I saw the tweet. Or it was an Instagram post. I don't remember something about. I think it's interesting. Dame obviously hasn't played with anyone near the caliber of Kevin Durant his entire career, and it would help solidify a lot with both of their legacies if they won anything significant. But I don't see it happening. I just not with his trade requests and not with how everything's going. I just don't see that happening.
I really think OKC's a fun thing because they have a ton of picks. Seriously, Presti has just been stockpiling pick after pick after pick. I SGA and Durant is very similar to LeBron and Kyrie in 2014, isn't it? This young guard who
Hmm.
everyone knows is a good scorer and really
That's
promising,
that's yeah. Huh. I didn't think about
as
it
on
like
the
that.
come
Huh?
up, but hasn't led his team anywhere. Paired up with this wing
And then
who
Kevin
is,
Durant goes to the super team and
Durant
he
right now, he's
wins.
not as young or as good
Oh,
as LeBron was in 2014, but it's the same sort of archetype.
yeah. No, I see how that like fits. I see what you're talking about with that. That
Plus,
makes
I think the only way, like if Durant wins a title in OKC, that almost eradicates everything, essentially.
I think it would from
It
his
essentially would. I think that's the only team he could go to, and it would completely eradicate it. Because if he wins a title, say everywhere else, the Golden State part will still be mentioned.
hmm
In OKC, I don't even think that's like a distant like fourth to his legacy at that point.
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to like think of another team it could work with. I don't think so. Like it's not like they're a super team right now or anything close to it right now. If he built that
No,
team
I
from
think they were
ground
just
up,
the worst team in the league, or second
I
worst.
know, not even close to it. But if he built that team from ground up, uh, I really could see. Yeah, I mean, like he did. Like we're just talking about. I think last week how LeBron and Steph had different legacy outputs. Like LeBron would team hop, and Steph built his team at home. We'd see Kevin Durant do that exact thing, especially as he get older and probably retire as soon as he got that ring. You know what I mean? Whatever. But it would be like the perfect storytell ending for his like redemption arc.
So I think a team that could have done this would have been the Hawks before the DeJounte Murray trade.
Yeah,
Because now they've given up a lot of their assets. I don't see that happening
there's
anymore,
no way unless they want to trade DeJounte Murray already.
which
I
makes no
mean,
sense.
it makes literally no sense. But you know,
Um, let's see. What do you think about Cleveland? So Cleveland can give Mobley,
no, bro,
Sexton.
it's not. They're not going to. He's not going to Cleveland. Come on now. Come on, man. He ain't going to Cleveland. I'm
Lenny's just
sorry.
like, no,
No, that's not happening. I don't want to talk
man.
about it. It's not going to happen. That one's not going to
So I think that's honestly that's it. Like realistically,
happen.
let's look. Okay, so let's do the
About
teams that
six
it's just.
teams I could see
So
happening.
let's do the teams that there's 0% chance for here.
Okay,
Real
just
quickly.
read them off. I'll
I'll
like
just read them
tell
off
you.
here real
Yeah.
quick. So come on, ESPN work. Okay,
Let's go,
so
ESPN.
it's not happening for the Sixers. As funny as it'd be,
No, they're
it's not
giving up
happening for
James
the
Harden right
Bulls.
now.
It's not happening for the Cavs. It's not happening for the Pistons. It's not happening for the Pacers. Hopefully, and it won't happen for the Bucks. It's not happening for the Hawks. Not happening for the Hornets. Not happening for the Magic. Not happening for the Wizards. Not. Do you think it'd happen for the Wolves, the Timberwolves?
No, no, I don't. I don't think. I think there's zero chance on that. Like if
No.
we're gonna, yeah, I think it's zero.
It's not happening for the Jazz.
I don't. Yeah,
It's not happening for the Warriors. Not happening for the Clippers. Not happening for the Kings. Not happening for Houston. Not happening for the Spurs. So that leaves us with Boston. Oh, and obviously the Nets. So that leaves us with Boston.
trade
Um,
still.
the Knicks. Would you rule them out?
I mean, after the Jalen Brunson deal,
Here,
it's
actually,
hard to
let
say
me
that.
write this down real quick.
It's hard to say that they want to go and make a big move like that after getting Jalen Brunson for so much.
So you don't think the Knicks are
I don't think
realistic?
it's not a 0% chance like everyone
So
else, but
they're not at zero, is what you're saying.
no, I think I mean like the Knicks are the Knicks, bro. Like I mean,
Who
They
knows?
throw. I just don't know. That team's legit hard to read sometimes. I'm just
So
like,
Toronto has a chance.
Toronto has a chance. Yeah, we talked
I'd
about it.
say the Heat have a chance.
Yeah, they got a good shot.
I'd say Denver has a shot.
I think Miami actually sent a trade request already.
I'm going to leave a little bit of room for the Thunder. I am. I wouldn't completely rule it
I
out.
would agree. I think they should at least give some leeway, considering whatever Durant's thinking right now.
Do you think Portland has any possibility?
Yeah, I don't think it's zero. I don't
Okay.
think it's zero. I think the only thing for me is the front office is just the worst. So like I don't know if they'd be willing to make that move.
They have, with a couple of these drafts though, they have stockpiled a couple of young pieces.
No,
Um,
yeah, it's there. Like they
I'm
could
gonna
do
leave
it.
a little bit of room for the Lakers just because they're the Lakers.
Yeah, the
The
Lakers are
Suns,
good.
obviously.
Hmm.
Dallas, yes.
Yes, of course.
I'd say Memphis,
Make it happen, Mark Cuban. Make it happen.
and then New Orleans does. So that leaves us with
8 teams,
one, two,
maybe
three, four, five, 6, 7, 8. That leaves us with 12 teams in
12
the NBA
teams.
currently.
Dang.
So
Well, we
the
gotta shorten this
teams,
list.
so the possibilities for Kevin Durant right now: Celtics, Knicks, Raptors, Heat, Nuggets, Thunder, Trailblazers, Lakers, Suns, Mavs, Grizzlies, Pelicans.
I think that's like the max amount. I think we
Yeah,
should.
that's these are the teams that are not at 0%.
Yes, these is above 0%.
So if we're gonna let's work our way down here.
Okay.
So who would you
More,
say has a 5% chance? Do you think the Celtics have a 5% chance?
no, I think they got a little bit more than 5%.
Okay.
I think the Blazers have a 5%, just because the front
Would you say the
office can.
Knicks are even at that?
Yeah, they're even like below 5%.
Okay.
Honestly, I just think there's a reality where they throw a Hail
I
Mary out
think
there.
Miami's very much a possibility. Although you got to factor in Brooklyn's going to be way more willing to send him out west than out east.
That's true too. You don't want to. Yeah, that's true.
I would say
Uh,
Toronto, Miami still have above that though, just because they have a lot to offer, and Miami's already been heavily linked.
yeah, the only thing with Toronto is how much are they willing to give up? Honestly, they have enough to give
Would
up.
you say Denver does?
They have above 5%, I think.
I'm not. I'm not giving the Thunder that. I don't think I'd
No,
give the Blazers that. I don't think I'd
no,
give the Lakers that.
no. And then the Knicks.
So
So
I'd
it's
give
about
I'd give Phoenix, Dallas, Memphis, and New Orleans all that though.
so that's about 7 teams that leaves us that have a
That leaves
shot.
us with Celtics, Raptors, Heat, Nuggets, Suns, Mavs, Grizzlies, Pelicans. That leaves us with 8 like actually kind of realistic destinations.
Yeah, I think all those teams I could see it happening. Obviously, there's bigger, like realistic ones than the others, but
Yeah.
those are all ones that I could realistically see happen. We don't need to start. I mean, if you want to keep doing it, but I think that's about right.
All right. So what do you think happens on the Kyrie front of this? Because I personally, I also think he's going to go. I don't know where. I haven't even looked into packages for him, but I just can't see him staying. I don't know why. I just can't.
He's made such a fuss and all this about how he wants to leave, but
I think
honestly,
they're sick of him, Lenny. I do.
no, I do. I just think I don't know. I think he might stay. I honestly do. I honestly think I think what he might have did is he was just like, I want to leave because I want to get my contract or whatever. I want my year option, and I think he maybe wanted an extension or something. I don't know. It seemed like he was making a lot of unnecessary noise, which he does all the time. But it seemed a little bit. I don't know. It seemed a little more deliberate than he usually does. I don't know. This is just a vibe thing. I don't think this is necessarily what will probably happen, but I don't know. I just have a feeling he's going to stay for whatever reason.
All right,
And
I'm gonna ask you a couple questions here.
okay,
Do you think
shoot.
Steve Nash is the coach of this team next year?
No, no, no.
You can like give like explanation for it. Or...
Oh, I didn't think I needed to do that, but I'll do
No,
it.
that's completely fair. I'm just saying.
I mean, I think the one of the biggest things for this team is just the coaching has just been very. I what adjective should I use? I don't know. There's a lot of adjectives.
Subpar.
Subpar. Yeah, that's the. And I mean, like, just in terms of leadership, like if we're not even, let's just take away coaching. I like on X's and O's, right? Like your job as the coach is to make sure your team is a team. This just felt like a collection of players that happen to be on a basketball court every single time I watch them, and it's just like, I mean, especially with all the Kyrie stuff, man. Like,
Kyrie essentially said, "Hey, I could be the coach. KD could be the coach. We don't need a coach."
I remember when he said that. Oh my god! Like,
Talk about lack of
imagine if
respect.
Steph Curry said that thing, or Draymond, or whatever said that. I mean,
If
like,
any star said that, you know,
yeah. I mean, like the Miami Heat, like Jimmy Butler said that, man. Like, no, come on now.
I think one of the big things with Brooklyn has been they have no leaders, none.
I totally agree.
Durant was not the leader of that team. It was
Yeah.
Steph. It was Draymond. It was Steve Kerr. It was not him. He was nonverbal.
What's his name made a great video about that. He was anyway. Never mind.
Rusty Buckets.
Yeah, Rusty Buckets. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember hearing something about. I was. Video.
Kyrie Irving is a negative leader.
Yeah, no, he like there's a leaderboard
Bro,
of how
I
much
can't get
leadership
over
they
this.
give. Man, give me like Al Horford as a better leader, bro. Give me give me Ben Simmons, man. At least he isn't like outright negative player.
But Ben Simmons isn't a leader either. Ben Simmons is indifferent to basketball.
I know, but he's like a zero. Kyrie's like a negative. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, at least with Ben Simmons, I'm not like worrying if he's gonna show up to practice in terms of like, is he gonna when he shows up like on a blimp like AB or whatever? Like, he's just a zero, man.
I feel bad for Steve Nash. I know Steve Nash isn't a good coach, and he got exposed last year in the playoffs. But
yes, he did.
This must have been a hard team to coach, man. Phil
That's
Jackson
fair.
would have his hands full with this group.
I mean, if anyone could do it, probably Phil Jackson, just because it's Phil Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, he's coached, some of the most polarizing teams and players ever, but
Kobe and Shaq.
You've got one guy who doesn't think they need a coach. You've got another guy who's indifferent to basketball. James Harden, by the way, was on this team too. So how do we feel about Harden right now?
I'm thinking like Harden definitely took a step back.
No, not as a player. Like, do we have like any sympathy towards him for dealing with this?
Yeah,
I have a little
bit. I don't think he was like involved. I don't think he really knew what he was getting into when he like signed with when he was like, yeah, let's do the Nets, let's do this whole thing. I don't think he knew what he was getting into.
I don't think he realized Kyrie Irving was the way he was.
Yeah, and then he got there and he's like, oh, this is what we're doing, and then everything happened every way it happened.
And Harden's not a leader either, by the way. But
no,
man.
I don't think I can emphasize enough how much leadership matters in sports, especially in one when you only have 5 players on the court, man.
All right.
I mean, look at Tom Brady, man. I mean,
what a hero.
What a hero.
Okay, another question. Kyrie Irving's value is significantly lower than his talent level right now, and it's completely valid.
Oh, yeah. No, I totally agree. A player's value is dictated by how likely they will be or how much more they're going to be able to help me win. If he goes to any team right now, I don't know if he helps them win a lot unless they have such a vocal leader, like a super vocal leader. Even Jimmy Butler, man. I love his attitude and like his leadership, man. Like someone like that, someone who's gonna take over the room, make sure that everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing. Does he? I mean, like, come on, like how much? Like, just look at the gap here for Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. How much each team would help. Kevin Durant isn't like a huge leader. He at least adds a little bit as like a complimentary guy. Like he's whatever. But he joins just oh, let's just say OKC. Let's just say OKC. Like in terms of talent, like you're like, wow, talent, and he's indifferent towards leadership, and I think it would be a huge jump. They go from the worst team to like someone who's at least relatively
They'd be a playoff
respectable.
team probably.
They'd be a playoff team probably, yeah. And for Kyrie, if he joined OKC, they're like still bad, probably.
All right, here That's leading me into another thing. Here's the question, and I've kind of felt this way. Kyrie Irving, great player, great career, has been grossly overrated by segments of the media who are obsessed with skill and not production.
I very much agree with that take. It takes people don't get this. I don't think a lot of people will ever understand this, but sports isn't just talent. It's never gonna be just talent. You're dealing with a collection of people, and when you're the best player on that team or one of the best players on that team, you need to be like that guy for the players. You know what I mean? You need to be that beacon, and Kyrie's never been that beacon, and I don't plan on it him being any soon. And it's just what he adds to the team is not as much as he does talent wise. It's just that's how it is, and people don't seem to get that. And I mean, people are starting to get that, but it's yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
Everyone gets hypnotized by Marino's talent and Rogers' talent. At the end of the day, it's Starr and Montana and Brady who have won the championships.
Hey, I
Everyone
like
gets.
Marino. I like
I love
Marino.
Marino. I love Rogers as players, but they didn't win the titles that the other guys did. Everyone loves Iverson, T Mac, Carmelo, Kyrie, all these guys. Trae Young may even be falling into that category, and it hurts me. At the end
Yeah,
of the day, Duncan wins the titles. Jordan wins the titles because he actually committed. LeBron wins the titles. Steph wins the titles. At the end
I
of the
mean,
day, it's
yeah,
about leadership. It's about reliability and consistency. It is not about visually and aesthetically pleasing basketball. Not always.
it can definitely help, but it's a two-way street, and I don't think people will ever really get that, man. I mean, even in sports, it's you gotta it takes a while to realize that. I think it took me a while to figure that out.
The other thing is, it's no coincidence Kyrie Irving has not had any significant playoff moment without LeBron James on his team.
LeBron is a way better leader than people give him credit for, man. I love that
LeBron's
guy.
one of the best leaders ever.
Yeah, no, people. I don't know. It's just a weird vibe with how people think of him like as a person like that.
But
Anyway,
I seriously think Kyrie leaving Cleveland was the start of all this. Kyrie and LeBron should still be in Cleveland right now, competing for
yeah,
titles. And
they should
Kyrie
be.
is the reason that did not happen. And
I
ever
think,
since then, his
yeah,
career success-wise has gone down.
I think it's an ego thing. Like, I'm not even saying that I disagree with Kyrie Irving, like how he talks about whatever, like the vaccine or like whatever. I think when he won that title, I think it was just like I want to make it about me. And I like deep down, like even if he's not like saying that, I think it's just with the actions. I heard this great saying. You say what you think and you do what you believe. When push comes to shove, you do what you favor the most. And for Kyrie, that's been just not team friendly behavior. And that's not like I hate Kyrie Irving for that. I mean, it's a sport at the end of the day. But if we're just talking basketball, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. You're trying to fit a puzzle piece, and the puzzle piece doesn't fit.
All right, last one, and then we'll get out of here.
All right.
The Nets are the biggest failure of a super team in NBA history.
Oh, that's a good one.
My answer is going to be they're second. I think the one super team that failed a little bit more was the 2013 Lakers.
Oh no, that's a good
That
answer.
was
No, that's good. That's
the
good.
Kobe, Dwight, Nash,
Yeah,
Gasol
yeah.
team that
Mm-hmm.
was the favorite. In a year with LeBron and the Heat, they had a super team of their own. They were the championship favorites that year. They lost. They lost in the first round. They didn't even make the playoffs.
Yeah,
All in fairness, that Lakers team had literally everything go against them injury wise. Kobe had to carry them into the playoffs, and then he tore his Achilles. But the Nets have had injuries too, and the Nets have at least won a playoff series.
Hey,
But
let me give you an even better one than that. This 2021 Lakers team.
that'd be if you consider them a super team or not.
I think when you got Westbrook initially, people were calling them super teams. Was it a super
All right,
team?
then they're
Probably not.
then they're by far the. But I
it
think
was
this
it was pretty hyped, bro. Like this was a pretty hyped team. Like
I
going
think
into
this
the
Nets
season.
team's up there though. I think they're
No,
in.
this
I
is
think they're
definitely
in
up
the
there.
conversation.
No, I agree. This is a very disappointing. I mean, people were saying like about the Heat stuff, like we're gonna win one or two or three or four, like LeBron. I mean, like people were saying this was
Hey,
gonna
but
end the league and stuff. I mean,
it's tough to win to like the Heat are such a weird example because they're a LeBron meltdown from 3 straight, but they're also a Ray Allen shot from one.
yeah,
Um, but they at least got the fourth straight finals. The Nets didn't even make the conference finals.
yeah. I mean, just jeez, just sad. I feel bad for Nets fans, to be honest, more
I
than
feel
anybody
really
else.
bad for Nets fans, man.
Nets fans were like expectations, like, oh man, we're doing it. We're finally doing something for the franchise, and then it was just, what's it doing? The bar. It's just slowly going down, and then now it's not even on screen anymore, and it's all the
Where do
way
you think
down
the
here at
downfall
Mavericks.
started? Do you think it was the
Down,
Harden trade? Because they had to give up a ton of assets for
man.
him. Never
I
really
think the down,
worked out.
I think the downfall started as soon as Kyrie started with the vaccine stuff. Honestly,
That's a
it
fair
start
point.
it set a bad example for the team. It just set like my personal life is more important than our team. Like, regardless of whatever you think about politics wise, that's what the example set for the team. Like, you're our biggest leader on the team. You're the one who put this team together, but your personal life is more important than the team. And again, no politics. I'm just talking about what's good for your team in basketball. That's this message that it's sent for the team, and that's part of like domino effect, I think.
I agree. All right, guys. Thank you for watching this episode of the Laydown Podcast. Let us know what your feelings about the whole situation are. Uh, do you think Durant? Where do you think he's going to go? Do you think this is the most failed super team of all time? Um, would you ever want someone like Kyrie Irving on your franchise? Let us all know in the comment section below. Have a great day. God bless.